Welcome to the Retire Happy podcast, where we learn how to get retired, stay retired, and being happy all along the way. Hello, my name is Jeremy Finger with Riverbend Wealth Management. Today we're going to talk about caregiving and the aging process and some of the things to think about if we are fortunate enough to need care one day, and also if we have the responsibility of making sure that a loved one needs the proper care. Okay, so true story, this past weekend I was walking in my neighborhood over to a friend of mine's house, and a lady pulled up in her car and said that, hey, I need help with my TV. She seemed a little flustered, and I'm like, help with your TV? She says, yeah, it's stuck on a channel. I can't change the channel, and I don't know what's wrong. I need someone to help me. I'm like, where do you live? She's like pointed over. It was like a block away. I'm like, well, I'll be there in a couple hours. She's like, no, I got a show to watch, and can you help me now? I'm like, okay. So I walked over there. Now, she didn't know me at all. I walked in the house. I didn't know her. And so, she walked in, and sure enough, the TV was on. It was stuck on football. She didn't know how to change the channel, or couldn't change the channel. And come to find out, it was the remote. The TV remote wasn't working because the batteries were dead. I changed the batteries, and it worked fine. She said, don't leave. Stay with me and talk to me for a little while. My neighbor moved. She went into an assisted care facility, and I haven't really had anybody to talk to. And so I talked to her for a little while and asked her where her children were, and they're out of state. But she says she talks to them regularly. But it brought up an important point. Number one is that being mindful that someone in her particular situation, she felt desperate and invited a stranger like me in that house. Now, fortunately, it was me that she invited in that house. Otherwise, it could have been maybe dangerous. All right. One of the things you can do to make sure that you can check in on a loved one and not actually be there is using technology. You've got Skype, you've got Zoom, you've got FaceTime that you can do, that you can check in with your loved one, see how they're doing, see how their facial expressions are, see if they're okay. Making sure that you use the technology available to check in with them on a regular basis. There's also healthcare monitoring systems or GPS tracking systems if you want to choose to do that. And they're relatively inexpensive. So you do your research, and that also could be helpful as well. So safety is the first thing. The second thing is having simple things being able to be taken care of, like changing batteries in a remote. The third thing is also helpful as well that people need to think about is who you're going to have lunch with. All right, her neighbor moved away, and so the social interaction wasn't there. So brings to an important point is that a lot of times 88% of the people over age 65 want to stay in their own home, and they don't want to go to an assisted living facility. All right, but there are some advantages to that if they go into an assisted living facility. Number one, as we talked about, safety. You've got safeguards that are there. I mean, people just can't run through the door and enact harm on you. It's a lot easier to visit people who are in a facility. Like for us, when my aunt was in an assisted living facility, we could just drop by any time and see. And it didn't feel like it was an imposition. It didn't feel like we needed to call in advance. It was structured so that it was easy to stop by. Obviously, the other reasons are you have someone who is able to prepare meals and medicine. That's also very, very helpful. Obviously, someone can change the batteries in your remote if it's not working. Another thing that's very helpful in an assisted living facility is the social aspect. So you're there with a lot of people in your same demographic, and there's a lot of activities that people can do in a social setting. A number of clients I have, they play cards, they play mahjong, they go on trips to places to shop. And so it's structured so that they can live their best life possible in a safe environment. A lot of times people are resistant to that, but more often than not, once they're there, their life gets a little bit better because of all of those different reasons. Okay? Now, as someone, it falls usually upon the children to make sure that the elder person is taken care of. And some 30 million households today of people between the ages of 40 and 60 are taking care of a parent. And that number is expected to double in the next 25 years. So this is something that is going to be happening. If it's not affecting you now, it may affect you later. Okay, so what if you're in a situation right now where I may have to take care of a parent? What are some of the things that I can do today to help that process? All right. So number one is have priorities. Write down some priorities. You want to talk to them about this, and this, and understand that it may not go smoothly. The person you're talking to may resist or be in denial about it. And if that does happen, be prepared to be able to share some documents or doctor's recommendation if possible. It would also make some sense, and if it would smooth things over, bring with you a friend, one of their friends, or a member of their clergy who knows them well, and have this honest conversation, okay? Yes, the conversation's challenging. I know. Yes, it is. It's difficult when I had it with my aunt. But once they understand that you're thinking about their best interest and what's safe and good for them, they may be more open to that. All right? So when they are open to this, start writing everything down. Hey, how do you want to live? I mean, what is it that you want to do? Hey, my aunt wanted to get her hair done every so often, so scheduling of that. Wanted to go to the store on a regular basis. Who can do that? And then also we talked about, hey, what are we going to do with the house, and what are we going to do with certain heirlooms and things like that. So my mom and myself were in the room, and my mom took these long notes on a yellow legal pad and asked her all kinds of questions about what she wanted and what she wanted to do. And then who would do what, who's going to be responsible for taking her here, who's going to be responsible for taking her there. We wrote everything out. What we did also is that I took a picture of the notes and sent it to all the other family members, so that as kind of a checks and balances, letting everybody else know what's going on. Okay, makes sense? Okay. So that's also very, very helpful. What are some of the other things that you need to think about? Okay, need to make sure that all the beneficiary information is up to date and accurate. That goes from IRAs, that goes for insurance policies. You need to make sure that someone has the healthcare power of attorney, which is their medical directives. Hey, what do you want to do in the case that you need life support and things like that? Also, power of attorney, who can make financial decisions on your behalf in case you need that. I'd highly recommend making sure that you got these documents in place, all right? Because if they become incapacitated or not able to make some of these decisions, someone else has to be able to legally be able to step in and make them for them, okay? Not to mention is that if someone has a power of attorney, they're able to get some duplicate statements, financial statements and things like that, that can check and make sure that no funny business is going on. I've seen instances where some people have been taken advantage of, unfortunately, okay? Whether that be through hackers and things of that nature. And if someone is able to double check financial statements from time to time, that also could be very, very useful. What is something else that you can do to help prevent hackers is put a credit freeze on their assets. A credit freeze, meaning that you can't go get a credit card in that person's name because the credit is frozen. In the event that you did need to have that unfrozen, you can call the credit agencies, and there's a way to do that. Okay. If you check on my website, I've got a list of things on what you can do to prevent that and set that up. All right. So also detailing the personal assets, both the assets and the income, making a plan. I've got a number of clients who have auto drafts to the assisted living facilities to make sure that the bills are paid. And of course, like I said before, the duplicate copies of the statements to the other loved ones who have power of attorney. Okay. So you can also check on AARP website to see if they qualify for government assistance. There is a chance there could be some government assistance available. There's over 15 programs for public benefit. You could check on the National Council for Aging to see if they qualify. All right. Now, we're talking about the person who needs the care. What about the person who's providing the care? Most of the time, it falls on the children. And that can be very, very, very taxing, okay? Keep in mind that 91% of caregivers, their depression level jumps up when they're caregiving. It can be taxing emotionally, it can be taxing physically, it can be taxing financially. My mom had to take care of my dad for over a year after he had a stroke, and he eventually passed away. And that's very challenging. So consider hiring a care manager or a geriatric care manager to come in from time to time, if you could afford to do so, to help give the caregivers breaks. Okay? So you also got to make sure that you're taken care of as well. Okay? Questions, comments about anything? If you want hard copies on some of the articles that are around caregiving, feel free to email me. Provide your name and mailing address. I'm happy to send you out hard copies as long as we have them. And if you got any questions, give us a call. 843-970-1049. 843-970-1049. Thank you very much. Retire happy.